How dry I am. A joke the ego sings in the desert. How dry I am. How dry I am. Nobody knows how dry I am. That's the song of separation. It's not a hymn. It's not praise. It's the ego's cracked-lipped confession. It is the soundtrack of a parched mind that forgot it was never cut off from the source. Because how can dryness exist in the mind of God? Where is the desert when the rain of spirit never stops? The joke is that dryness only makes sense if there's water somewhere else. If you're dry, then water is withheld. If you're wet, then dryness is withheld. So the ego plays ping-pong. How dry I am. How wet I am. Nobody knows how miserable I am. But notice what's happening. It's just the game of opposites. Wet versus dry. Full versus empty. Pleasure versus pain. Alive versus dead. The ego can't stop swinging because its whole life is in the bounce. But in the mind of God there is no ping-pong. No dryness. No wetness. Just wholeness. Just fullness. Just the living water that never runs out because it was never poured in to begin with. It is you. And here's the metaphysical punchline. If you were truly wet all the time, soaking, dripping, flooded, would that make you happy? No, it would drown you. You would complain just the same. Oh, how wet I am, nobody knows, nobody cares. See how the ego works? It doesn't matter whether it sings of dryness or wetness. It only wants to sing of lack. It only wants to sing of problem. It only wants to convince the Son of God that he's stuck in the mud, cracked like dry earth, or suffocated under a flood. Either way, the ego keeps the punchline the same. You are deprived, you are abandoned, you are alone. But Spirit laughs gently. Spirit says, where could dryness be? Where could wetness be? What you are is untouched by weather, untouched by climate, untouched by the silly forecasts of the ego. The living water is not a change of condition. It is the recognition of your conditionless reality. No cracks, no floods, no stuckness, no thirst, just wholeness, just flow. So the song How Dry I Am is actually a joke on the one who sings it. Because nobody knows how dry you are? Of course nobody knows. Because there is no such thing as dryness in heaven. Nobody cares? Of course nobody cares. Because God doesn't recognize illusions. Why would love care about a mirage in the desert? It dissolves it instead. And that is the lubrication. Forgiveness is the oil poured on the gears. The rain that falls on the desert. The memory that awakens in the thirsty mind and says, the well was never dry. It was never gone. It was never even outside you. The ego sang how dry I am. The spirit sings how whole I am. And when that song rises in the mind, there's no dryness to lament and no wetness to fear. There's just joy. There's just peace. There's just the end of the joke.